The series begins with a high school girl named G, who stands in front of her new school. As soon as she enters, she notices that all the students there seem wealthy. She is excited about her new school because it looks grand and luxurious. She tells herself that this is a fresh start for her, and she is determined not to cause any trouble. We soon learn that G transferred from her previous school because she was a troublemaker who frequently got into conflicts. She walks around the school until she reaches the receptionist and asks for the location of Section A, the class she is assigned to. While waiting, she notices a female student looking at her with disgust. This makes her wonder why, but she decides not to dwell on it. Following the receptionist's directions, G arrives at the designated location and is shocked to find an old, run-down building, completely different from the other elegant school buildings. However, she convinces herself that appearances don't matter as long as the inside is decent. But as soon as she steps in, she is taken aback by how dirty and disorganized the place is. She continues walking until she comes across a group of male students. She asks if this is Section A, and one of them, named Kiefer, responds by telling her she is in the wrong place. G insists that the receptionist directed her there, but Kiefer rudely tells her to leave immediately. Frustrated by his attitude, she walks away, thinking to herself how much she wanted to shove the lollipop she was holding down his throat. However, she calms herself and heads toward another building, which looks clean and well-maintained. She enters a classroom and takes a seat at a desk. Soon after, a girl named Rocky, the class president, approaches her and introduces herself. G does the same, mentioning that she is new to the school, but when Rocky checks G's paperwork, she realizes that G is not registered in this class, but rather in another classroom in Section A. She then gives G the correct directions. At that moment, G realizes that Kiefer tricked her. Feeling irritated, she heads back to Section A. However, once there, she discovers that the section has only one classroom, which consists entirely of male students. Still, she doesn't let it bother her. She introduces herself to the teacher and the class. Kiefer, as the class leader, is supposed to welcome her, but instead, he mocks her, making the other students laugh at her. G doesn't stay silent. She fires back, making fun of him as well. From that moment, G starts experiencing harassment from her classmates. Every time she tries to sit at a desk, the students stop her. When she finally manages to sit somewhere, they start throwing paper balls at her while laughing. She yells at them to stop, but they ignore her. The bullying continues until the lesson ends, and G leaves the classroom annoyed. She heads to the school cafeteria, where she meets Rocky, who is sitting with a group of girls. Rocky asks her how things went in Section A, but G hides the truth and tells her that everyone welcomed her warmly. The girls don't seem to believe her, as they know that all the students in Section A are troublemakers. At that moment, a student named Iris speaks up, saying that Section A is a perfect place for G. It becomes clear that G and Iris know each other, but G stays silent, not responding to him. Instead, she leaves the cafeteria and returns to Section A. Once back, she looks for a clean spot to eat, but as soon as she finds a suitable place and takes out her food, the other students take it from her. One of them, named Felix, approaches her and apologizes for what his classmates did. He warns her not to bring out food in front of them again because none of the students in Section A are allowed to enter the cafeteria or buy food from it. G is surprised by this, so she pulls out more food from her bag. Felix quickly snatches it from her and reminds her of his warning before walking away. Later, while G is in the classroom, a female teacher enters but refuses to start the lesson because the class is filthy. She tells them that if she finds the classroom in the same condition during the next lesson, she won't teach them for the rest of the year. Then, she leaves. G, feeling determined, tries to encourage her classmates to clean the classroom. But to her shock, they all walk out and lock the door behind her, leaving her alone to clean the mess. She yells at them to help her, but they ignore her, laughing at her from the classroom window. With no other choice, G cleans the classroom by herself, fuming with frustration. At the end of her first day, she returns home, where we learn that she lives with her uncle's wife. When her aunt asks her about her first day at the new school, G hides everything that happened and tells her it was a great day. Her aunt then reminds her of the promise she made, and G reassures her that she hasn't forgotten. She will not cause trouble with anyone. The next day at school, G is surprised when Kiefer hands her a piece of paper with a list of food items that he and the other students like, instructing her to buy them from the cafeteria. G refuses, telling him that she is not their servant. Kiefer responds by saying that he doesn't like having her in the class, and if she wants to stay, she must obey his orders. G gets angry and firmly tells Kiefer that she won't do what he asked. She also bluntly tells him that from the first moment she saw him, she wanted to punch him. Of course, Kiefer doesn't like her attitude and is about to start a fight with her, but their teacher enters the classroom, interrupting them. During lunchtime, a student named Yuri arrives, and all the boys rush toward him because he has brought plenty of food for them. However, when Yuri notices G, he becomes visibly upset. Felix informs him that G is a new student in their class. Yuri glares at G with anger before walking away without saying a word, leaving G confused by his reaction. She asks Felix about him, and he explains that Yuri had been on vacation in Japan visiting his family and had just returned. He also tells her that Yuri and Kiefer are close friends. Meanwhile, Yuri goes to speak with Kiefer about G, making it clear that he doesn't like having a girl in their section. Kiefer explains that he had already tried to intimidate her into leaving, but she wasn't scared and stood her ground. Yuri then suggests that they keep harassing her until she gets fed up and leaves. Kiefer agrees. The next morning, G has breakfast before heading to school. On her way, she runs into Angelo, her older cousin, who asks her how things are going at school. She reassures him that she's fine and then asks if he knows anything about Section A, since he was once a student at the same school. Angelo explains that Section A was created specifically for troublemakers and that once a student is transferred there, they remain in that section until they graduate. However, he also tells her that female students in Section A have a chance to transfer out if they maintain good behavior, avoid causing trouble, and achieve high grades in their subjects. After hearing this, G continues her way to school when she comes across a boy fighting 4 other boys and easily defeating them all. As soon as he sees G, he calls out to her, introducing himself as her classmate and asking if they can go to school together. G agrees, and on the way she learns that his name is Sai. Curious, she asks him why students from their section aren't allowed to enter the cafeteria. C agrees to tell her, but on one condition: she must buy him food. G agrees. C then tells her that there used to be a girl named Ella in their section, and she and Kiefer were deeply in love. However, she eventually transferred to another section because she had strong connections with the school administration. After her transfer, Kiefer felt like she had changed toward him for no apparent reason. One day, he saw her in the cafeteria kissing another boy. Furious, Kiefer got into a fight with the boy and ended up destroying the entire cafeteria. Since then, the school administration has punished Kiefer and all the students in Section A by banning them from the cafeteria completely. After their conversation, C and G arrive at school and go about their day as usual. However, at the end of the last period, G is shocked to find that her clothes have been glued to her desk. It turns out that Kiefer and Yuri were behind this prank. The entire class laughs at G before leaving her behind. G calls out to C and Felix, reminding them that she always brings them food and that they can't just abandon her in this situation. Feeling guilty, Felix and C help pull her from the desk, but in the process, her clothes tear. C immediately gives her his jacket to cover herself. Furious, G storms off, searching for Kiefer until she finally finds him standing with Yuri and a group of other boys. She throws C's jacket in Kiefer's face, and in front of everyone, tells him that from this moment on, she won't stay silent about anything he does to her. Then, she walks away. Later, on her way home, G is accompanied by C, who gives her another jacket he had in his bag to cover her torn clothes. She thanks him and says goodbye before entering her house. Meanwhile, as C heads home, he encounters a group of boys, the same ones he fought earlier, who have returned to take revenge on him. At home, G sits down for dinner, where Iris is also present. It is revealed that Iris is actually G's younger cousin, but he clearly resents her presence in their household. Angelo notices this and gets upset when he realizes that Iris isn't giving G a ride to school in his car. He then tells him that starting the next day, he must take G to school and ensure that she is safe from any harm. The following morning, Iris follows Angelo's orders and drives G to school. When G arrives at her classroom, Kiefer once again and hands her the same paper with a list of food items, along with money, expecting her to buy food for him and his friends. G snaps at him, telling him that she isn't obligated to do anything for him. She makes it clear that she is only getting the food for her friends, not for him. G goes to the cafeteria and buys all the food Kiefer had requested. When she returns, everyone is thrilled by what she has done, even Kiefer himself. Felix then calls G over to eat with them, making her incredibly happy. She agrees and joins them. However, Yuri is displeased by the situation and leaves angrily. Later, while they are in the classroom, their teacher calls out students' names to assess their academic levels. None of the boys answer her questions, showing their lack of interest in studies. But then, the teacher calls G's full name, revealing that her family name is the same as Iris's. Kiefer immediately asks G about her relationship with Iris, and she casually responds that he is her cousin. At that moment, G notices a change in the atmosphere. Everyone in the class appears angry. It becomes evident that there is some kind of history or conflict between her classmates and Iris, but she has no idea what it is. After class, G tries to talk to any of her male classmates, but they all avoid her completely and refuse to speak with her. Meanwhile, Kiefer and Yuri gather their classmates and start searching for information about G on the internet. They discover the name of her previous school and find out that she was an extreme troublemaker. They also learn that she once stabbed a male classmate with a pencil and was responsible for causing serious injuries to several students. At that moment, one of their classmates walks in, claiming to have information about G's family. He tells them that G's father has been missing for a long time and no one knows his whereabouts. He also reveals that her mother abandoned her when she was a child, remarried another man, and started a new life with him. G had been living with her grandmother all these years, but after transferring to their school, she moved in with her uncle's family. Yuri and Kiefer begin to suspect that Iris purposely placed G in their section to spy on them and report back to him. When it's time to clean the classroom, the boys, as usual, leave G to do all the work by herself. Kiefer tries to annoy her by overturning the trash bins and spilling garbage all over the floor. Frustrated, G retaliates by dumping stacks of paper onto the ground and refuses to clean up unless he helps her. Noticing that the situation is escalating and knowing that Kiefer has a short temper and might hit G, Yuri steps in. He convinces Kiefer to clean the classroom with her to avoid any problems. Kiefer calms down, listens to Yuri, and helps clean up the classroom alongside G. The next day, G is in the car with Iris on the way to school when she suddenly sees C walking down the street. She asks Iris to stop the car, telling him that she wants to go to school with her classmate. As she walks with Sai, she asks him why he was absent from school. C explains that he got into another fight with the friends of the boys he had beaten up before. However, this time, the fight was much more serious, and he suffered a severe injury. Because of that, he decided to stay home and rest until he recovered. G then tells him about what happened in class and how the boys reacted when they found out that she was Iris's cousin. She asks him if he plans to avoid her like they did. C reassures her that he won't and that she doesn't have to worry about that. They continue their way to school together, and later in the day, C takes G behind one of the buildings to witness the class president elections. However, G is shocked to discover that there is no actual election. Instead, the selection process is a physical fight between the current class president, Kiefer, and another student named David, who has challenged him for the position. The winner of the fight will be the new class president. The match begins, and Kiefer and David engage in a brutal battle, fiercely attacking each other. The fight is intense and violent, but in the end, Kiefer emerges victorious. The students cheer for him, lift him onto their shoulders, and carry him away in celebration. G refuses to leave the scene. Instead, she approaches David and helps him get home. The next day in class, G brings food for C and David. Meanwhile, Yuri and Kiefer watch her, displeased by what's happening. It becomes clear that G is getting along well with all the boys in the class, and they are starting to treat her well in return. This worries Kiefer and Yuri because they don't want her to feel comfortable in their section. Just then, one of their classmates informs them that the next period is PE, and that they need to get ready to go to the gym. At the same time, Iris is sitting with his friend, who informs him that the students of Section A will be heading to the gym for their next class. While they are talking, Ella walks in and greets Iris. It's obvious that the two of them are in a romantic relationship. Iris then decides to go to the gym, using the excuse that he wants to check on his cousin, G, to make sure none of the boys in her class are bothering her. However, when he arrives, he deliberately gets too close to Ella, making it obvious that he's doing it on purpose to provoke and anger Kiefer. His plan works. Kiefer reaches his breaking point, furious at the scene in front of him. Determined to punish Iris, he decides to take it out on G instead. Pretending to be teaching her how to catch a ball, Kiefer launches the ball at her with excessive force. It hits her directly in the face, knocking her to the ground and causing her nose to bleed. Everyone in the gym is stunned by what happened. At that moment, Kiefer realizes his mistake and wants to go to G and apologize. However, he hesitates when he sees that Iris has already rushed to her side to check on her. Later, we see G at home, lying in bed. She has taken 2 days off from school to recover from her injury. Her uncle's wife enters her room, bringing her breakfast.